Hello and welcome to the Badger Politic. I'm Scott Stearns.
Good evening. This is Paul Sidney.
Hey, Paul.
I'm in a much more sober mood than I was the last time we spoke.
Yeah. Well, it is episode 50. We have crossed a milestone, or in the process of crossing said milestone.
That's right.
So we've been around for just over a year, and we've managed to pull out 50 episodes somehow, some way. Mm-hmm. So that being said, cheers.
Cheers.
I like to think that we've made some progress or contributed at some level to the things that are going on out there.
I think
hopefully
that
positively.
might be a little lofty, but that's nice. That's a nice sentiment.
Well, we've got we've got some consistent listeners out there, and
Sure.
I definitely appreciate the all of you that have stuck with us through good episodes and bad. And
I do as well, and I'd love it if one of you ever wanted to tell me how it is. I haven't heard many.
I've heard some good feedback just through word of mouth. But yeah, it's I think it's been enjoyable.
I want to know how it is because I haven't listened to any of them.
Well, yeah. I mean, Paul, it's
like, should I bother?
Well, I mean, I look at it as
I already know what I think.
I don't know. Well,
okay.
Maybe you should follow us. Do you even follow us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
Well, that's good.
Pretty sure I do.
Yeah, we wanted to record a little bit sooner, but one of the lessons learned for the Badge of Politic is don't schedule your recordings during metal shows. So.
Right. There was a metal fest. In fact, we thought about taking refuge over at Puddler's Hall, I should say.
Yeah.
And they had another part of the metal fest over there.
Yeah.
You couldn't even go to Cactus Club.
No.
I mean, there were always bands, but they were part of Metal Fest. Mm-hmm. So there was a neighborhood metal fest happening this weekend.
Yeah. It was bad timing, but that's okay. We got things going now.
They were celebrating the melting forward of the late April snow.
Oh, thankfully we're into the 50s here in the Midwest. And
a little bit,
looking
barely.
forward to real spring for real.
So what are our topics this evening?
Well, I mean, in terms of what's going on, there's a lot going on in sports right now. We
want to talk about the winter sport still.
Well, I mean, the Bucks had Game 5 in Boston tonight. Came up short. They were robbed about a minute and a half left. The refs blew a shot clock violation call by the Celtics, so that gave the Celtics another possession, and the Bucks were down by 5 at that point. So what could have been a one-possession game with more than a minute left,
it's pretty disappointing.
Yeah.
It is a great series.
It is.
Really
I mean,
is.
The Bucks came back down 2.
My favorite
website, at home.
538, did a nice write-up on it, calling it one of the best series of the year.
I think it's been exciting.
What look for next in the Boston-Milwaukee series.
Yeah.
I mean, just seeing the national coverage like that. Of course, they're owned by ESPN, but that even says more, I think. It really says something. I had the good fortune of going on Friday night, and I was shocked.
Yeah, how was the crowd?
As my partner likes to say, she's like, who are these people who played Boston tonight, and what did they do with our Bucks? It was so confusing.
Yeah.
Like how good they looked. The crowd was really into it.
Yeah.
And at one point, though, I had to literally lead the entire 400 section and the defense chant. They were kind of falling off, and the what looked like a safe lead was kind of winnowing down midway through the third quarter.
Well, that was
and then we stopped them. Then Thon Maker got a few blocks right after I led the defense.
That was the closer game on Friday, and then
no, it wasn't. It was a blowout.
Oh, right.
We won by 26.
You won by 26, and then it was
Sunday was a nail biter.
Sunday was a little bit closer than it should have been.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some foul calls that didn't go our way, but they pulled it out.
Well, the Boston people say we got the calls.
Yeah, well,
and that's why we won.
I guess it's all
they think we got robbed. They think they got robbed on Sunday.
Yeah.
But,
well, they're up 3-2 now. So now it comes back to Milwaukee on Thursday, and so we'll see what happens next time around.
They also said they can't wait. One of the Boston fans on Twitter said they can't wait to beat all the MAGA fans here. Make America Great Again fans.
Yeah, little does he know. I think if you pulled the book,
people who watch basketball generally are not MAGA people. Well, it's also really insulting.
Neither is the ownership group or the players, I imagine, for that matter. So
it's also just it's really
wasn't the Bucks were one of the first teams that actually announced that they weren't going to
Right.
stay at any Trump-owned hotels.
Right. It's
Going
just,
forward.
it's so insulting.
Yeah,
you
it's-
know,
no,
they talk about East Coast elitism.
That's just trolling. That's just trolling bullshit.
Yeah, right. Yeah, baloney.
Yeah, I mean, other sports news. The Brewers are still doing pretty well.
7 in a row.
7 in a row. Braun hit 1,000 RBIs over the weekend, so that's good. It's good to see.
They're 15-9, I think.
Yeah,
So that means a whole lot of nothing at this point in the season,
No.
other than it's a nice
it's
start.
April, but you'd rather be 15-9 than 9-15. So
Right. It makes you think that they really are probably just a pitcher away. Like, I was thinking they were a starting pitcher. I still think they are away because another quality starting pitcher
yeah,
that you can rely on.
that could make a difference. It
helps
somebody that could stop. So that they don't go.
Then
on
you don't
these
wear out
losing
all
streaks.
your seventh inning relievers either. Like, you
Yeah.
give them a good chance of having at least a couple days off in a week.
Right.
Which is important. You can't put out Josh Hader 162 times a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you do, his arm will fall off, or at the very least, he'll start tipping his pitches.
Yeah.
And he'll get hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what always happens in those middle relievers. They're really only good for about 80 appearances.
Yeah.
And that's if they're really good. They're usually good for 50 appearances at the most.
Right.
Average ones. And so we think we've got good relievers, but they're not going to be that great when they're in their 80th appearance or 100th appearance after Labor Day.
Well,
because the starters don't go more than 5 innings.
Well, the Brewers closer right now, Knebel, is hurt, so he's not coming back till probably Memorial Day, I think.
Which even is going to tax the rest of the bullpen.
Yeah,
more.
no, totally.
In the short run, I guess that would be a big shot in the arm when he gets back. So that would be
for sure.
helpful. But it does make you think, though, that they probably should make that trade before the deadline to add that arm, because the team probably is.
Well, when they get
is that close
when they get
to being
Knebel
really
back,
good.
I mean, they'll be at the end of May, beginning of June, and they'll have a couple months there to figure something out. So
Right.
if they determine that the middle relief isn't getting it done, or there's the shortcomings in the starters, or somebody gets hurt, I think they'll have a window of opportunity.
Yeah, I just don't think. I mean, I would just argue that, just to make it clear, you're not going to solve the middle relief by adding more middle relievers. You're going to solve it by finding a quality starter that eats up 6 innings every 5 days.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
at least.
I agree.
6 to 7 innings. And unfortunately, right now, we've got a few of them that can maybe go 4 or 5 on a good day. And so I think that will be a big test of how serious they are, as if they make that move.
So other news here in the Badger State, we've got the governor's race. Obviously, that's starting to get kind of ramped up.
I feel that wave getting ready to crest.
I hear sarcasm coming from the other side of the table from me, but we have. I mean, despite all the cheerleading, and I think there's a lot to celebrate, I do remain skeptical of some of the things that are afoot. One thing that leaked last week, and I think it was probably just a trial balloon put out. It was in the news that Tom Barrett, our mayor of Milwaukee, who's run for governor, 3 times.
4.0.
He ran in the primary back when Jim Doyle became governor, and then he ran against Walker twice. So he's floating the idea of running for governor again. Justification being that he's not satisfied with the field that is currently in the primary.
So the fabulous online newspaper, weekly, what have you call it. It's constantly updated. The Milwaukee Record. And I mean, it is fabulous. Wrote a hilarious piece.
Yeah.
Called, Part 4 is more entertaining than Barrett's 4th run for the governor.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, I just this whole thing. I mean, I think it's a non-starter. I mean, I think
if you want to know how I feel, please read that article in the Milwaukee
that just
Record.
kind of mimics. We can even post that.
They kept saying, "You got to be shitting me."
Right.
That's about how I feel about Barrett's fourth try.
I want absolutely no part of it. And I say that as somebody who's been supportive of Tom Barrett previously for governor, but as mayor of Milwaukee. I think he's actually
I'd probably vote for him again for mayor.
He's done a lot of good for this city. He's accomplished a lot. He's done well.
He's a good guy.
And he is.
He's a nice guy.
He was great when he was previously a congressman from the north side of Milwaukee.
Great might be a stretch, but okay.
I think
he was okay.
I think he was. I think if you go down the issues,
I take one more. But I would take one more personally.
That's fine, but I don't think there's not a lot of daylight in between. I think Gwen Moore and Barrett on the issues.
All right. I mean, Gwen Moore is just more fun. I mean, drug testing people who take more than the standard deduction. Mm-hmm. If they make over $150,000 a year.
Yeah,
because you don't want to subsidize multimillionaires who abuse substances.
Barrett, I think, is
brilliant.
Barrett is more. He's a different. He has a different temperament than I think.
Or she wanted to double the Senate security budget for Senate pages if Roy Moore had gotten elected to the U.S. Senate.
I like it.
I mean, she's running a bunch of statement bills, but what should you be doing?
Well, you're from a blue seat. Well, especially if you're in the minority,
right? In a super blue seat.
That's how you make your case.
Gwen Moore. I mean, it's funny, but she's also kind of a champion.
She's making a point too.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, so this will, in a nutshell, and I don't think we need to spend too much time on it. I think the Barrett for governor thing is a non-starter. I don't think it's getting any momentum. Like I said, I think it was just a trial balloon that was floated, and I think it went nowhere.
And it's possible that Police Academy 4 is a better use of your time than talking about Barrett running for the fourth time. I mean, they compare Barrett's fourth run to Rocky 4.
I think
the Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
I guess what merits more
Batman and Robin and Police Academy 4.
Here's a question though. Like what merits more discussion? Tom Barrett running for governor as the mayor of Milwaukee or Paul Soglin running for governor as the mayor of Madison? Because I think they're both kind of equally ridiculous.
In Soglin's defense, he hasn't run against Walker twice and lost.
That's true.
So yeah, I would go with that. But
I just think
it's still awful.
Yeah.
I mean, Soglin, is a real dead letter, I think, when it comes to running for governor. And here's the thing. I think the one thing that the Barrett trial balloon tells us is that Walker's in deep shit. Well, he is beatable. We can't blow this. Well, I think that some of these candidates can beat him, but I don't think it might just be a do no harm,
right,
and win kind of thing. Just because of how the state is a swing state, we're seeing much redder places go Democratic.
Yeah, oh, definitely. Alabama being first and foremost. But
that said, it's going to take enormous effort. Walker will have a field campaign. He will get his supporters.
He will have a lot of money.
And it will take a real effort on the field. Somewhat, I don't know, Herculean, but at least heroic effort in the field, getting people out to vote, getting people excited to vote, getting people registered, getting people past the photo ID. That means you got to have a candidate that inspires support. Tom Barrett, I don't think is that candidate.
No, and I mean,
and I also think several of these candidates either running are not that candidate either.
Well, sure.
Including, unfortunately, Kathleen Vinehout. I have to rule her out.
And we whittled down on a previous episode, we whittled down the field to our final four, final six, or whatever.
I forgot.
I have it right here, actually. Tony Evers, Malin Mitchell, Kelder Royce, Andy Gronick, Matt Flynn, and Dana Wachs are our final six.
Okay, so I think with that, I was watching Tony Evers on Mike Goucher's interview the other night.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, that guy looks so old. He just I cannot picture him.
So the camera, you think the contrast of the camera between Scott Walker and Tony Evers is just going to be bad presentation?
And he doesn't look Bernie Sanders old, like old and savvy. And no, he looks old. He looks, as I once heard described, I think the New York Times once described this one. It's about somebody. He looks retiring.
Okay.
And he really does. It's just like you almost feel like you got to give the guy a break and not vote for him so that he can go retire.
Like out of mercy?
Sort of. It just doesn't look appropriate. He looks like that guy who is too old. Like what? Like, did he lose like some investments or something that he has to work at this age?
Yeah.
So I mean, actually, he has a better haircut than he used to. Not that I should be one to talk.
That's good. Maybe you found a new. Fashion sense, but
right.
Then we had Malin Mitchell, we had Calderoys, Andy Gronick, Matt Flynn, Dana Walks.
I mean, Gronick, I think, is so weird because all he did was, he hadn't worked in a couple of years. He was spending his time suing somebody over his house that had mold in it, which is, I think that's weird. And
I think there's more bad press to come. I think with that. And
I like him, but he's also so fucking bland. I mean, I saw him at an event the other night, and he just sits in the corner of the room. He doesn't have it.
I'm taking a close look at Kelda Royce. I really think that she could be the dark horse.
Kelda, I wouldn't count out Malin yet.
No,
I saw him today.
I think
on the streets of Milwaukee, he was out with the teachers protesting outside MPS's budget hearing where they're getting ready to cut the budget and standing up for public educators, which is important because there's kind of a rap that he's not that great on it. And I think that's silly. And then Kelda's really strong, I think, on a lot of progressive values. And then I guess Walks maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe boring is good, but he is so boring.
But that's what I think, like I said previously, boring could be in again because of what we're dealing with at a national level. Like maybe people take some solace in the fact that, like, hey, here's this guy who just wants to run for office and, like, do right by his state, and that's good enough. He doesn't have to be the charismatic
How about crazy Matt Flynn?
Matt Flynn, I mean, I think, he's obviously one of the more institutional figures that's running. I don't count him out just because he's got connections, he's got money, and
some people really like him.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people previously really chair of the state party.
Yeah. I mean, that was so long ago.
It was some time ago.
And he's stuck in the past. He actually looks more vigorous than Tony Evers.
Yeah.
But Tony Evers at least talks in the current dialect.
Right.
Like it's like Tony Evers is.
I think Tony Evers may have a better finger on the pulse.
Right. Tony Evers does.
Because he's currently serving.
He sounds like he's punched the clock and gone to work at some point in the 21st century. Whereas Flynn doesn't sound like that. You talk about retiring, he seems very retired. Mm-hmm. So
that alone may count him out.
Yeah, he just looks a little more.
Yeah.
More vigorous. So maybe we should just make sure we take pictures of Evers' good side, the young side, or something like that. I don't know. So
what I would say though is that after as we reported on in our previous podcast, the whole Rebecca Dowlett election when she got elected to the state Supreme Court and it wasn't even close. Walker went on a tweet storm and I think he was trying to
rally up the
right. And he did it at events following that.
Yeah.
And I think what he's trying to do is he's trying to snap fingers in front of people's faces and be like, wake the fuck up, because I do think that there is a sense, especially
he's thinking it's a weak field and any of them could beat him given the climate.
But I think he understands that there's a lot of people right now that are supportive of Trump and voting Republican who are overconfident because they think that their worldview really has caught on to the extent that they believe it is in their little Twitter sphere or their tribal company that they're associating themselves with. Like they believe that their stuff has a lot more support than it really does. And so they may not be as inspired to give money to candidates or campaign or gather signatures or go door to door or go out to vote for that matter. And so I think he's sounding the alarm bells for a good reason. I think Walker understands how at risk he is, but I think the challenge he has is actually getting his voters to understand just how bad it could be.
No, that's true. And it could be working, too, because if you look at, say, today's special election in Arizona 8, which had about the same partisan breakdown as, at least in the last presidential election, as the Pennsylvania election that went to the Democrats.
Right.
was even better than, say, Alabama, which the Democrats won. Mm-hmm. The Republican did wind up carrying the district pretty comfortably, actually. She won by almost, it appears like 6% at least.
It was like 5,000 votes or something like that?
9,000.
9,000? Okay.
Yeah, it appears.
But Trump carried it by a much larger margin, right. I believe. So
he did, 21 points. So it was about a net 15-point swing to the Democrats.
And Republican Debbie Lesko was the one
Debbie Lesko. So
that won.
They're finding a way. They saw the warning signs. They saw what happened in, say, Pennsylvania 18. They saw what happened in Wisconsin Supreme Court race, Wisconsin Senate District 10, and other seats around the country, the Alabama Senate. They funneled money there. They got a decent candidate. What I'm pointing out is that the Republicans aren't napping anymore.
No.
They caught on. And it looks like they're walking out of this with a solid victory.
Yeah,
it's still an underperformance compared to what Trump got.
Yeah,
but it's a solid victory. It's at least a stop the bleeding.
Right.
I think you're going to see similar things happen in these Wisconsin legislative elections, the special elections. I think there's a reason the Republicans might have stopped objecting to it. These are heavily Republican districts, and if they can get a win or two out of there, they can say, "Look, we're stopping the bleeding."
Yeah.
And let's try to build the appearance of momentum, even if they continue to underperform typical Republican performance.
Yeah.
At least the appearance can create that. That's their hope, can create momentum. So I wouldn't say that, like, say, Baldwin's out of the woods yet, or where Walker's definitely done, especially since we don't even have a candidate yet.
Well, sure, and I mean, in Baldwin, I think I continue to have confidence that she's going to pull it out, but the opposition is going to have a lot of money behind them.
They're going to have a lot of money, and they could potentially.
They're going to have Uline money behind them,
right? And they could possibly have a big boost with the Walker reelect enthusiasm.
True.
So I don't count out the right on the Wisconsin Senate seat. Don't count out Walker.
Well, and closer to home, so we've got for Paul Ryan's seat, obviously. Paul Ryan previously announced that he will not be seeking re-election, and the only other person on the ballot at the time was Paul Nalen, who has been kicked off of Twitter for being a racist.
Yeah, so they got some Republicans.
So we have a few, and then the biggest name right now is Brian Stile, who announced this past week. He previously worked for Ryan as a staffer. He was appointed to the UW Board of Regents by Walker a couple years back. So
he looks just like Paul Ryan.
He looks like a junior Paul Ryan. He really does. He looks like his brother. I mean, if you told somebody they were brothers, I mean, you would
pretty much.
It would be very convincing. So, I think he's in his mid to late 30s.
Yeah.
37 years old, maybe.
I sure hope he's the nominee. I mean, because
on the issues, they're exactly the same.
Right. I think that Randy Bryce was a perfect contrast to Paul Ryan. And I think that, Samantha Kirkman, who is the one I thought might have a chance. I'm not sure she's getting in. Is she in or not?
No. I think everybody in the state legislature that was toying with the idea of running for Congress has decided
to stay the
course, and let's.
I probably shouldn't even say this then, but I think she'd be a good candidate, a stronger candidate against.
Perhaps
she's a more moderate Republican, and she's kind of like the person who just won in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And then she's also a woman, and I mean, she's not really moderate. Let's be honest; she's very right wing on the bills, but she's.
Maybe more appealing though than like
but I think Style. They're clearing the field for Style.
Yeah. No, I think he's going to be the heir apparent, just given his ties to Ryan.
It's a pretty far right district. I mean, Dallas still didn't carry her, from what I understand. I think she only got 48%. Mm-hmm. So it does show that it's still an uphill battle. That said, if I'm Randy Bryce, I say, hey, it's Ryan Part 2, and it's a guy who just is not. He's not a working guy or in touch with the working people of the district at all.
I think the fact that
just like Ryan, he wants to cut the safety net. He wants to put people, make people work until they die, so they have no social insurance, right? No pensions, no social security, no nothing.
Well, and the fact that he worked for Ryan, I think you use that to tie him directly to him and say, this is the guy that Ryan wants to carry on his legacy.
Right.
So, I mean, it basically might as well be Paul Ryan on the ballot.
Exactly.
So, and I do think that, I mean, from listening to right-wing talk radio locally, I think they are definitely underestimating Randy Bryce. They're trying to paint him as, somebody who's, not a productive member of society and like all these stereotypes. And I think what they're doing is they're neglecting the fact that like a lot of
I think the more they play that up, the better.
Because, because I think they're trying to say like, oh, well, Randy Bryce has had troubles throughout his life, whether it be
not
financially
a member of
or
society. I drove over the Holland Bridge the other day, or today actually, I believe. In the Holland Bridge, I know Randy. He used to post Facebook pictures when he was working on the Holland Bridge, long before he was even considered running against Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
Long before this election cycle. I mean, he doesn't produce a society. Well, if you drive over the frickin' Holland Bridge, he and thousands of other iron workers are doing really hard work getting that done.
Exactly.
Northwestern Mutual Tower, the Bucks Arena, you name it. And I mean, not that he built it
the,
all on
the
his
iron,
own, but
the iron workers were involved in all of that.
He's one of the major contributors.
Yeah, I think Randy Bryce is definitely underestimated in this race, for sure.
Say he's unproductive, all you guys want.
Yeah.
So, all right. I saw him today. He's where he needs to be. Out with people today again.
I have confidence that he's going to be able to compete in fall. So.
Yeah, right. He's got Rob Hansen on his team too. I like Rob.
Oh, there you
go. He's a good guy. Yeah. Anyway,
so with that, I think we're going to wrap up episode 50. But
Rob is a former chair of the Democratic Party in Milwaukee.
Yeah, in Milwaukee County.
You want to wrap us up?
Let's wrap it up.
I want to give a shout out to my guy Rob.
Oh, okay.
All right. Yeah. I did.
Okay. That's what's done is done.
Yeah. All right.
So that's 50 in the books, folks.
Right.
So again, thanks for all your support.
Go Dallas! Congratulations on the big win.
And go Bucks and go Brewers.
There you go. And go forward.
Yes, forward, folks.